Should I buy Bitcoin or should I buy MicroStrategy? I'm sure this is a question that a lot of people are asking themselves right now. On one hand, Bitcoin has gone up a ton this year. It's no secret, Bitcoin is killing it. But then you look at this MicroStrategy stock and it has gone up even more, a lot more. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about why you might want to invest in Bitcoin or MicroStrategy, kind of comparing the two different assets and their risk levels. And I'm going to break down how the two assets are different. Before I do get into the video, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube. Really appreciate your support. We're trying to get this channel booming heading into the new year, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. Let's start this off by comparing the MicroStrategy and Bitcoin price charts. As you can see, both assets are doing really well. It's no secret that Bitcoin is having a crazy year, and when Bitcoin is doing well, MicroStrategy is probably doing even better. After this recent election, we've seen the sentiment around the Bitcoin space really head higher, right? People are feeling very positive about Bitcoin. They're feeling like the regulatory environment here in the United States is going to be great. And we're seeing a lot of businesses come out now and announce that they are starting to stack Bitcoin. I'm going to be making a video about that this week as well, so keep an eye out for that. But as you can see, both assets doing well, but MicroStrategy doing a lot better. Bitcoin is up 162% over the past year. Not bad. MicroStrategy is up 753%. That is pretty remarkable. MicroStrategy has been one of the most popular stocks over the past couple of years for people to get exposure to Bitcoin. And right now, we are seeing a ton of volume when it comes to the trading of this stock. Actually, on Wednesday of this week, we saw MicroStrategy either have higher trading volume than Nvidia, or it came really close to getting ahead of Nvidia, which is amazing because Nvidia had earnings on Wednesday. Now let's talk about why we are seeing so much demand for MicroStrategy stock right now. You could almost say more demand than just for Bitcoin, the asset itself. The reason that MicroStrategy is seeing such high trading volume and everybody is trying to get their hands on MicroStrategy stock is because they have come up with this kind of insane strategy where they are constantly borrowing more money and buying Bitcoin. So they are borrowing dollars, the bad money that is depreciating, and they are buying Bitcoin, the stronger money that is going up in value. And they have basically acquired a lot of attention from doing this. They've been putting all their capital into Bitcoin for the last 3 or 4 years. Now, why is MicroStrategy outperforming Bitcoin by so much? If all they're doing is buying Bitcoin, then shouldn't the two assets be heading higher at a similar rate? The reason why MicroStrategy is heading up so much higher than Bitcoin is people are buying into the stock not for the Bitcoin that they already have, but for the Bitcoin that they will continue to acquire. We can think about it like this. Let's say you have two different people and you can buy stock in these two people, these two separate entities. One entity is a person with, let's say, 10 Bitcoin, right? So anytime the Bitcoin price goes higher, you see the net worth of this individual head up. So you might be willing to buy some stock in that individual. I know it's kind of a weird example, but this is the way I kind of think about it. Then on the other hand, you have a person with 10 Bitcoin, but they continually acquire more Bitcoin. Let's say they're averaging a purchase of 2 more Bitcoin every month. Well, if you think that Bitcoin is going to go up a lot in the long term, if you think that Bitcoin is the future of money, then you probably want to invest in the individual that is continuing to buy the asset, borrowing money and buying more of the asset. That is what MicroStrategy is doing, right? So basically, by investing in MicroStrategy, you're investing in this Bitcoin stacking machine where they're going to continue to borrow the bad money and buy the good money, which is Bitcoin. As long as the Bitcoin price continues to head higher and there's all this bullish positive sentiment around the Bitcoin space, I think that people will continually lend money to MicroStrategy and they can continually buy more Bitcoin, and this strategy will continue to work. And I do think that the Bitcoin price is going to head a lot higher over the next 2 years, and it's really going to continue to head up forever against the dollar. So they've kind of found this unique loophole where they can just basically create this Bitcoin stacking machine. And people are starting to realize that. And that's why we're seeing so much investment in the company. I do think that MicroStrategy is a pretty safe investment. But let's say there was a rare case or a rare black swan event where we saw the Bitcoin price plummet. Maybe the Bitcoin price gets cut in half and people aren't willing to lend MicroStrategy more money, and maybe they run into problems with paying off their previous debts. Now, I made a post about this on Noster yesterday, and I got some pushback from people saying that the MicroStrategy debt is structured really well, it's really safe, and it's long term. And I'm sure it is. I'm honestly not super familiar with how their debt is structured because they're always taking out more debt. I just know that they probably have a good amount of it. And whenever there is debt, there is risk, right? What if we did see some crazy event? Like, what if Satoshi, who has 1 million Bitcoin in a wallet, were to sell that Bitcoin, right? I don't think it's going to happen, but that could lead to a huge sell off in the price. If we saw an extended bear market where MicroStrategy was pretty down, right? They had a lot of unrealized losses, then they could be forced to sell a chunk of their Bitcoin, which could lead to the price of Bitcoin heading lower, and they could lose the confidence of their investors. So, although this is an unlikely scenario, and I just want to make that clear, I don't think that's going to happen. It is possible. Anytime you have a company that's taking out a ton of debt, there is some risk there. So that is really the difference between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy to me, is the risk level. One is a decentralized asset that you could hold yourself. Bitcoin doesn't have any debt, right? It's just a technology, it's just a new form of money. Whereas MicroStrategy is a company. If you're investing in MicroStrategy, you're counting on them to keep their Bitcoin safe, right? What if they were to potentially lose some of their Bitcoin? Or what if they took out some bad debts and weren't able to pay them back and had to sell some of their Bitcoin? So that's really the difference to me, is when you're investing in Bitcoin, you are investing in it for the asset to hold, right? You want to take the risk out of the equation. That's the great part about Bitcoin to me, is that you can really get rid of counterparty risk. You can hold the asset yourself. You could send it to another party without going through a third party intermediary. So it really is this decentralized, safe form of money. I think it's one of the safest investments out there, although a lot of people seem to think it is risky. And then when you're investing in MicroStrategy, you're basically trying to get more returns, right? You're taking on a little bit more risk by investing in a company that is getting very levered in a safe way, apparently, and buying a ton of Bitcoin. So when it comes to choosing between these two assets, I really think you need to ask yourself, what am I looking for from this investment? If you're looking for an asset that is truly yours, that's outside the financial system, that you really have full control over, one that gives you freedom, then I'd say Bitcoin is your best bet. If you're looking to make the highest returns, make the most money, then MicroStrategy is probably your best bet. I'm personally a big fan of Bitcoin because I like the freedom that it gives me. I like that you could take your Bitcoin, put it in cold storage, put it somewhere, and you know that that Bitcoin is going to be safe. Now, you got to make sure that you're smart about where you keep it. You can't forget where you place it, and you got to make sure you have your keyword phrase memorized or have it written down somewhere. That's very important. But if you can do that and you trust yourself, I love the fact that Bitcoin is an asset that I truly own. And when we look at Bitcoin derivatives like MicroStrategy and the spot Bitcoin ETFs, yeah, I think it's great, right? It gives people options. It allows for traditional finance money to come into the Bitcoin space. And these different assets have really helped Bitcoin adoption grow. But for me personally, I think it takes away from the purpose of Bitcoin. The point of Bitcoin is having a money that you truly own, a money that governments can't depreciate by creating more of it, and a money where you don't have to go through a financial intermediary like a bank, right? What if you keep all your money in a bank and the bank collapses? Then you're shit out of luck. So that's what I love about Bitcoin, is that I could take it out of the system and I know that that Bitcoin is safe, whether it's worth $100,000 a Bitcoin or worth $1,000 a Bitcoin. I know I have that amount of Bitcoin and it is going to be safe. So really, the third parties to me, things like MicroStrategy and the spot Bitcoin ETFs, kind of take away from the purpose of Bitcoin. The whole point is that it is decentralized money that you can really fully control and it gives you freedom. But I also understand that people want to grow their wealth. They want to see their purchasing power increase. And if you invest in MicroStrategy, that's probably going to happen. If you're a long-term believer in Bitcoin, you think that the price is going to go up a lot forever against dollars, and you think that it is the future of money, then I understand wanting to have some exposure to MicroStrategy if it's going to continue to see higher returns than Bitcoin. It may not be a bad idea to get exposure to both of these assets. Maybe you think about what you want out of this investment. Let's say you have $20,000 that you want to allocate to Bitcoin, and with 75% of that allocation, you want it to give you freedom. You want an asset that nobody else can control. Maybe you put 15,000 of that 20,000 into Bitcoin, the asset. And then with the other 25%, maybe you're looking to take on more risk and see potentially higher returns, and you put that into MicroStrategy. So I think that's a great way to think about it. If you are bullish on Bitcoin long term, then both these assets are going to do good things for you, but MicroStrategy could potentially go up more. And if you want to see higher returns, if you value having more money as opposed to an asset that you fully control, then maybe you want to allocate more to MicroStrategy. So that's the way that I think you have to think about it. If you're investing in Bitcoin, you're investing in it for its fundamental valuable properties. If you're investing in MicroStrategy, you're investing in it to see higher returns. You're taking on a tad more risk to invest in this company that is continuing to borrow money and buy Bitcoin. They're basically a Bitcoin stacking machine. I don't think one asset is necessarily better than the other. I'm a big fan of Bitcoin because of the freedom it gives me. But I think that you really need to ask yourself what you're looking for from this investment and then allocate accordingly. That wraps it up for this video. If you didn't like and subscribe, please make sure to do that now. Again, I just love to see this channel booming like Bitcoin heading into the new year. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.